What is up, guys? Taiki here, and in this video I'll be focusing on the NEAR ecosystem, the bullish developments for the ecosystem, and I'll be touching on Phantom and Harmony valuations. So if you like the content, please like and subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section below. So obviously, in my 2022 predictions video, I mentioned that, hey, Q1 rotation, my bet is on NEAR. And NEAR has done really well recently, right? It's pushing all-time highs. I think it's one of the only coins in the top 50 that's actually pushing all-time highs. I know Phantom and Harmony is also doing well, but I think NEAR, the chart of NEAR is showing like much more strength than the other L1s, right? And I also mentioned that I think NEAR is going to be a top 15 project. It's already number 16. And I don't want to bet against the meme coins, but it'll probably flip Shiba and Doge, right? And to anger the ETH maxis, I will also say that I think it'll also flip Polygon. And one of the reasons NEAR is doing so well is because of the bullish catalysts for NEAR. So most recently, this morning, there was an announcement that NEAR did a secondary raise, $150 million raised by a bunch of VCs. So we see Three Arrows Capital, right? That's leading the sale, as well as Mechanism Capital, Dragonfly, Andreessen Horowitz, Jump Crypto, Alameda, Z Prime, and Amber Group, among others. And in this announcement, they mentioned that at least two of the funds have made verbal commitments to provide liquidity to emerging DeFi protocols on the chain as they launch, right? So one of them is obviously Dragonfly, right? They have already been providing liquidity on Trisolaris for a while. I've mentioned why I'm bullish Trisolaris in my past video, unlike why I think it's a value farm. And I would expect a bunch of other funds to deploy capital into the NEAR ecosystem and mostly the AURORA ecosystem in the coming weeks and months. And I think AURORA, it's going to hit top 10 in terms of TVL, right? Yes, NEAR is cool, but I'm focusing on AURORA, right, as my main exposure into playing the NEAR ecosystem because it's EVM. It's right now the gas fees are 0, and whenever they do turn on gas fees, it's going to be pennies. And right now it's number 19, and they barely have any products, right? They barely have any products, but once these projects start to launch, it's going to be in the top 10. And you can't just look at the current ecosystem and be like, what? There's like barely nothing on here, right? Because that's true. There's barely anything on here. But if you want to make money in crypto, you have to front run these rotations. You can't just buy things when things are obvious. You have to get into things before they're obvious. And I guess things are more obvious now than they were, 2 weeks ago. But just look at this TVL, right? It's just going up. Do you want to fight this trend? I don't think so. And I guess the importance of these rounds, right? These rounds where like these L1s just raise like a secondary round from a bunch of these firms. Is that, obviously these firms, they're here to make money, right? And they're buying this to sell at some point. But, I think, these firms, they got into this round roughly here, right? I think this pump was from the round, but, they probably got into got into NEAR somewhere in this range. And, they're not going to be selling NEAR at like $19, right? They're not in here for a 2x. They need liquidity and they're investing in the long-term prospects of this ecosystem. And I would expect the trend of NEAR to be up and to the right. And looking at historical context, we see on September 16th, Polychain and Three Arrows led a $230 million investment in Avalanche, right? So this was a little bit more, right? So maybe you can argue that maybe NEAR can't flip Avalanche, right? I've seen arguments go both ways. But September 16th, people were already saying that Avalanche was way too overvalued at that point. September 16th, where is it? It's roughly here, right? Here, roughly at like $50 to $60, right? And Avalanche still went up and put in almost a 3x, right? 2.5x. And yes, Avalanche ecosystem kind of calmed down for a while, but I would expect this ecosystem to do well in the future, right? Avalanche, good ecosystem, good tech. And I own some AVAX. I'm farming dual AVAX in DeFi kingdoms. I'm just happy gaining exposure to the ecosystem because I'm bullish subnets as well. But anyways, Avalanche put in a 2.5x roughly, right? Let's say, ever since they got announced, and that current price is, let's say, it got announced at $18, a 2.5x would put it roughly at $45. I'm not saying it's going to happen, right? I can't predict the future. NEAR has a higher market cap than Avalanche whenever it was announced, so you would expect some diminishing returns. But you can't just look at crypto and be like, oh, it already has higher market cap, I don't want to buy because it can't give me a 5x. But the goal of crypto is to maximize your risk-adjusted returns. And I would still argue that NEAR has really good risk-adjusted returns because it has so many catalysts coming. Three Arrows raising around, that was only one of the catalysts, right? And like if you read the tea leaves, this was pretty easy to predict. I mentioned this, when was this? On the 9th. Like Suzu already updated his bio to include investing in AVAX Luna Sol and NEAR. right? And Kyle Davies, who's also the co-founder of Three Arrows, said that, hey, L1 super cycle is upon us. Billions raised by VCs are pouring into that pre-sales and L1 secondaries, right? So, I mean, this was pretty much known by the market, right? So, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't already priced in, but I guess, the markets, the crypto markets are pretty inefficient, and, people just buy these announcements, and I guess it's not a sell the news event, right? But anyways, there's a bunch of other catalysts coming up, right? Notably the incentive program that got announced, $800 million incentive program. That's only from the near side. I know that AURORA, right? That token is also going to do incentives, so it's probably going to be like over $1 billion incentive program, and it hasn't come yet. And also one of the arguments that I've heard, like, oh, like Near is not good, is that there's no money market, right? And in the humble farmer thesis, I kind of meme this into existence. And essentially, there's like two requirements for an ecosystem to thrive, right? At least in crypto, it needs an AMM with good liquidity and a farm, right? And number one is like the easiest, right? Every ecosystem has a good DEX, right? You just fork Uniswap or something. But the second and the most important is a trusted and reliable money market. And money market is important because it allows people to create leverage. You can use Bitcoin, ETH, Near as collateral, borrow dollars against it, and farm with those dollars. It creates more liquidity in the ecosystem, which overall creates more money in the ecosystem. It increases the velocity of the ecosystem, and when that happens, number tends to go up. And yes, right now Near does not have a money market, but if you do research, right? If you actually do research, you see that there's a project called Burrow, which is a near native money market. And right now they're on testnet, but if you just follow them, they see that, hey, no, they're on mainnet, right? They're on mainnet. They're on near mainnet, meaning that their product is almost ready to launch. It's not on AURORA, right? So, it doesn't fit like my bullish AURORA thesis, but I can expect, this project to hopefully get incentives, lock up 9 to 10 figures in TVL, and just imagine a scenario where this thing launches with incentives, people bridge ETH and Bitcoin over, borrow dollars against it, bridge that to AURORA and farm with it, right? You got to front run these things. Crypto isn't obvious. I mean, people assume that crypto is like easy, right? You just buy things that's getting shilled and you make money. No, you have to do the research. You have to put in the work. And if you just do the work, you can kind of front run these things. I know a protocol that hit mainnet that will change this soon. I don't know when it's going to launch, right? Hopefully this month, right? I don't know, right? But my strategy has been to stack Near, stack Try, stack other ecosystem plays, and just wait for people to finally catch on and just buy my bags, essentially. And it kind of reminds me of the setup with Avalanche, right? Because I started covering Avalanche in early August, right? Because, hey, humble farmer thesis, Benki, a money market is going to launch. It's going to bring a bunch of liquidity into the ecosystem. And we saw that, since August 10th, Avalanche up only, right? Not up only, but, just up and to the right. So money market going to launch soon. Don't know when, but it's going to launch soon, right? That's the most important part. And they also raised a round from Three Arrows and other funds. So it kind of feels like history is repeating. I would expect the multiples multiples that you might gain in this ecosystem to be reduced, to be diminished, right? The fact is, we're no longer early in the cycle, right? To be honest, we're in the latter stages of the cycle. So you can't expect crazy gains. But what you can expect if you put in the work is pretty good risk-adjusted returns. In crypto, you have to maximize your gains, but you also have to protect your losses. And I still argue that Near, the AURORA ecosystem, pretty good risk-adjusted return, right? Things are up a lot, but pretty good risk-adjusted returns. And I've been farming Trisolaris. This has been my largest position in the Near ecosystem, and I made a video on why I think Tri is a good value farm. It's done really well recently, right? It's essentially it's essentially at all-time highs. But my thesis, I'm in the Tri Near and the Tri USDT farm, but the thesis has been, if you look at historical context, the number one DEX on any ecosystem reaches at least $100 million in market cap. So if you think that's going to be the case for AURORA with all these catalysts coming up, why not farm it, right? Why not farm it? And I think the median, I'm pulling this out of my ass, but probably the median market cap and the mean market cap, the average market cap tends to be roughly $150 to $250 million, right? If you back test all historical DEX market caps. So I still argue that this has upside to go. It's not going to be up only, right? This thing has been up only, kind of, but I mean, expect some volatility, and market cap is the output of price times circulating market cap, and TRI is an inflationary token. So maybe it gets to $100 million market cap despite going sideways, right? Who knows? I can't predict the future. I can only look at historical context and make educated guesses then. And also touch on this concept of PvP versus PvE. And in my 2022 predictions video, I kind of noted that it feels like new money is not coming into the ecosystem, right? It kind of feels like this PvP environment where, it's like, smart money out trading the dumb money and then like dumping on them, right? Because when there's like not new money coming into the ecosystem, like, it's a zero-sum game, right? If I'm making money, then someone else is losing money. If I lose money, someone else is making money. And it's a pretty difficult situation to be in, especially because like 99% of crypto projects are inflationary, right? Even Bitcoin, which we consider to be like a hard asset, like a scarce asset, is inflationary, right? There's like new Bitcoin being mined every single day. So if we're living in this PvP environment with inflationary tokens, you can expect on average for the token prices across the board, the average token price to go down, right? But the reason I'm betting big on NEAR and why I'm so bullish NEAR is that I think with these incentive programs, it kind of creates this PvE aspect, right? PvP stands for player versus player. PvE stands for player versus environment. And this is one of the reasons why I think Avalanche Rush did so well, is because, I mean, it was super hard to lose money like on AVAX, right? I mean, it was really hard just because Ava Labs, they were just giving you money, right? Hey, bridge to our ecosystem, we'll give you money. So as long as you weren't being a total degen and you weren't aping into like every single new ohm fork every single week, like it was a profitable ecosystem to play at. Now, AVAX, Avalanche Rush is still there, right? But the incentives are diminished, right? And it seems like no one really cares about those incentives anymore. I mean, I still have most of my funds on AVAX, right? I still like the ecosystem, but it's no longer like the new thing in town. It already had its hype cycle. I think NEAR has yet to have its hype cycle, and I think it's the most likely ecosystem to create this player versus environment like a situation where it's gonna have incentives. I don't know when, but I think sometime in this quarter. And when the NEAR incentives or the AURORA incentives or both come online, it'll create for this euphoric state where as long as you're being smart about like your investments, you're gonna make money, right? Because NEAR and AURORA, they're gonna give you tokens for free. So I think this environment is much better for traders and farmers alike. Just because, yes, like I think I can outperform the markets. I think I'm better than like the average trader or like the farmer. But like, would I rather play in the PvP environment or would I rather play in the PvE environment, right? It's just much easier to make money when there's free money coming from this guy. Trisolaris, they're going to get Luna rewards. Rose is also going to get Luna rewards. So these incentives are coming online, and I would expect I'd expect this ecosystem to show strength in the near term, right? Near and midterm. Okay. That being said, I've talked about NEAR enough. Let's kind of talk about Phantom and Harmony, right? Because those two tokens have also done super well. And, I kind of memed this into existence, right? Like the Tezos benchmarker, right? Where I kind of memed this where I said, like if Phantom is at the market cap of Tezos or below it, it's a great buy. And if I've also mentioned last year that, hey, Harmony is below the market cap of Tezos, right? It's undervalued. Because we're in this era of relative valuations, and we kind of look at like, hey, is this a good L1? Okay, like how does this market cap compare to that market cap? Oh, it's lower. Okay, let's buy. I feel like it's been that simple, right? I feel like if you're like trying to think too hard about it, it's kind of easy to, right? I guess it's like it's easy to fade this mindset. But, this has been the meta for the past, let's say 8 months. So like, why would you expect it to stop, right? My strategy has been to ride the trend until the trend is no longer there. And I also mentioned that, hey, the Tezos benchmark indicator printed the phantom bottom in December 14th, right? Because, like I said, this is this historical snapshot on December 14th. If you scroll down here, we see that Tezos was number 41 and Phantom was number 44, right? And this was the absolute bottom for Phantom, right, in the recent correction. And damn, like the Tezos indicator, it told you that you could have bought Phantom at $1.31, right? Oh man, right? And right now it's trading at roughly $3. And if you go back to here, we see Tezos number 41 and Harmony all the way down to 65, 17 cents. Right? Like, I mean, the Tezos indicator is super, super strong, right? And recently, Harmony flipped Tezos, And now Harmony is flipping historical key resistance into support, right? I don't really do technical analysis on this channel, right? I kind of just do like meme analysis, but it works, right? I mean, you know, like I'd rather do stuff like this than to draw lines on charts. But you know, I think it's funny. I think it's funny for sure. I think it's funny. And you know, I think in crypto, it's easy to kick yourself for missing out on these plays, right? Because I mean, in any given day, there's going to be like 50 coins that are going to pump. And if you're on social media, you're going to see tweets like, oh my God, like, don't miss out on this pump. You know, it's the next, this is your best opportunity to make it in crypto. You know, it's ridiculous, right? But, you know, you have to stick to your bets. You have to stick to your convictions. You have to build theses and be patient, right? And you have to be an enjoyer, right? You have to be an enjoyer because yes, Phantom is doing well. Yes, Harmony is doing well. I don't really have exposure into those two coins, even though I do think they will trend up over time. But you have to be okay with that. I guess I do have indirect Harmony exposure because, you know, DeFi Kingdoms is one of my largest bets. But you know, I'm okay with it, right? I think DeFi Kingdoms, I think Jewel will outperform Harmony to the upside and downside. And, you know, Jewel also gives me like GameFi exposure. So, you know, I'm happy with that too. And, you know, you have to be able to laugh at yourself, right? It's like, you know, Taiki loves crypto, right? Taiki bought the Phantom dip in November. Taiki got exploited in Grim. Taiki did not re-enter and barely has any, you know, and just like, you know, it's like this meme, right? And social media has a good way of making you want to FOMO, right? It's like, oh, don't miss out on this. Like, did you really fade this anon? Like, you know, it doesn't really make any sense. But, you know, stick to your bets, build theses, because if you're relying on other people to form your opinions, then like you're not going to have conviction, right? And in crypto, you need to have conviction because volatility is insane. Yeah, that being said, bullish near. You know, I'm just like more bullish near than I am on like Phantom One and Atom, right? I know the FOAN meme, right, as like the new rotation, that's become a thing, but my bets are on near. It's going to continue to be near. And for new people, right, because I know there's like a bunch of new farmers, it's really easy to get overwhelmed in this space, but I would really encourage everyone to just focus on a few ecosystems, right? So right now, obviously, like I know a bunch about the AVAX ecosystem, Luna, Phantom, One, Sol, etc. But you know, my focus is on near, right? Because it's easy to manage like 2 positions over like 10 different positions, and it's like, you know, like there are like so many assets that I'm bullish on, right? But I just choose not to buy because I don't want to deal with that occupying my headspace. So, you know, just choose a few ecosystems to be an expert in, right? And as you become more comfortable, expand out, right? But you know, you also don't want to be a maxi, right? I know a bunch of maxis for like ETH, Solana, AVAX, or like whatever. But you know, you have to be open-minded, right? You have to be open-minded because crypto moves super fast. If you're not nimble enough, you're gonna be left holding the bag. And you have to form your own opinions, right? You have to form your own opinions because, you know, like the moment like something becomes consensus, that's when it gets dangerous, right? The moment when a trade feels safe because, you know, everyone's saying it's like a great play, that's when the play is the most dangerous, right? That's a Kobe quote, and I think it applies here. That being said, right, hopefully this video was helpful. You know, I still would encourage everyone to bridge to AURORA, right? I think it's going to be a really good ecosystem in the coming weeks. Yes, nothing is built on there yet, right? There are very few protocols being built on there as of now. But it's not about what it is right now. It's about what it could be in the future. It's about the catalysts coming up into the future, right? Once all these catalysts hit, it's going to be pretty obvious. Like, oh yeah, like AURORA, good chain. But you know, the price will be probably like much higher then. So thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Have fun farming out there.